No way. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And I will take care of everything.
All right.
Do my
Have a good one.
announcements. Bye-bye.
What time's the library close?
8 o'clock.
8 o'clock.
Yep.
I gotta renew my library
You
card.
want me, do you want me to dim the lights for you? Is that helpful?
Yes, that does, it's very helpful.
All right.
Thank you.
I'll be out here if you need anything.
Thank you.
And I will find you a receipt.
Can everybody hear us?
Hello, Zoom land.
I can hear you fine, Delphin.
Perfect, thank you, Mike, I knew I could count on you.
Okay, welcome tonight to our, what is this? Our May meeting. We have a wonderful speaker, Robert Chaplin, going to talk about dramatic skies and lightning and all that fun stuff. Just a quick couple announcements. Our upcoming events. So next Wednesday is Frame It with Delphin, where the theme is fog, smoke, and mist. Fog, smoke, and mist. You can send them now, all the way up to 5 p.m. on that day. And I'll get them logged in. On Saturday, May 30th, we're having our May field trip where we're going to be visiting the Everglades for a sunset and moonrise. This will be our 3rd year trying to get a sunset and moonrise. The last 2 times we were skunked. So what they say, 3rd time's a charm? We'll see. Information's on our website. Then coming up in June, I will bring back the photo finish because our field trip, it's going to be kind of a 2-parter. So in photo finish, we're going to talk about how to merge more than one image together to, like, for panoramics, what do I got here? Exposure blending, focus stacking, all that kind of fun stuff. So I will show you how to put those together in Lightroom and or Photoshop. And I got a Helicon focus that I can show you how to use. And then at the end of the month, we're going to go out and I'm going to show you actually how to take them, which is pretty simple to take, but there's some always a little few tweaks that can help you out. So that's the plan with that. So June the 3rd is the photo finish. And then on the 6th, Robert is going to be reprising our lightning and taking us out in the Everglades probably? Probably the Everglades too.
We're gonna keep an eye on it.
Look for some storms. We're going to work on the details about that, and they'll be on the website as soon as we're done. And then June 10th, as she said, is our spring reveal for the 4-for-4 challenge. For those of you that don't know, we started a challenge at the beginning of the year, a quarterly challenge where we photograph 4 photos of a certain thing. So the spring challenge was to photograph one subject with 4 different focal lengths. So it's a pretty simple challenge. So if anybody has any of them ready, you can send them in, but we'll need them by next month. I went out last week and took a few, but we could always use some more. We don't want to look at only my pictures. And then, so next month we'll talk about the next upcoming events. Anybody have any questions? I have business cards, and I ordered a decal for cars, so new members are like, I don't know who anybody is. Don't know who we are. And what else do I have? Oh, the FNPA, Florida National Parks Association. We have been members for years. Every year I renew you guys. I just don't always get the cards to you. This year I did.
Thank you.
So those of you who are not here right now, they're one on the mail. And I expect you to be here, it's in my bag, so you get it next month. Thank you, Robert. Welcome, Robert Chaplin.
Yes.
Well, I love you.
I don't know where to stand.
Oh, here's your remote.
Does it have a?
It has back and forth.
Does a laser?
Look at that
shit.
Yep, it
got a
does.
laser. Thank you guys for showing up. I was a little concerned. How many people are on Zoom?
8.
All right, that's not too bad. They'd rather sit at home instead of coming here, but I was afraid that.
We got a lot of out-of-town members.
Only my friends were showing up, and then we have a new gentleman here that doesn't know who the hell I am. We'll see if he shows up again next time. Oh, there's one more. There's another friend.
Hello.
How the heck are you? It's funny when you're speaking to 6 people, one more walks in, you get so excited.
Yeah. I get that every month.
Good to see you.
Good seeing you. Do you remember Mr. Richardson? And for those of you that are out of town, the guy that's hugging that woman right there, he's one of the founding directors of this club. He's one of the reasons it got started. Matter of fact, he was the first person I asked when I didn't know what the hell I was doing. And then we grew from there, and you hit 10 years, right?
Last year.
Last year was 10 years, this is 11. So, and I am happy that you're still with the Florida National Parks Association. Hopefully this isn't going out on general TV, but we're working on a 75th anniversary for this year.
Oh, nice.
He's with a newspaper, he nodded his head like, yeah, no shit. I've already reported it. So anyway, this is not the same lightning talk you guys normally see where I go through some videos and crap like that, because I know that we have a shorter time here, and Barb threw in dramatic skies on me. So this is not just lightning, even though we'll touch on lightning and we'll look at some of the stuff, but this is more about dramatic skies. Is there another light I could dim?
Yeah.
Just for me? Which way am I going? How do I change it? Is it,
Yeah.
this is the button, or is it?
No, that's not the button.
I didn't
The
think
button
so.
is, this is,
Okay, there goes. I have to
you see the
point it.
arrows?
I did, have to point it somewhere.
I just sort of aimed at that thing.
Oh, there it goes. So what I wanted to do was identify dramatic, and I'll share with you a story why I wanted to do that. So dramatic is suitable to or characteristic of drama, as in being very excited or moving, like our skies. Sudden and extreme, like our storms. Striking in appearance or effect, like our sunrises and sunsets. And back.
I do that all the time.
I know how to do this. Having or showing a tendency to behave or react in an exaggerated way, like our lightning. So Bob and I went out, we were in the Everglades twice, and I don't know if it was yesterday or the day before, we were out and I had the camera, and I said I was hoping to get a new shot of some dramatic skies, and to me it was just hazy and boring. And Bob's like, wow, that's pretty freaking dramatic right there. And I said, yes, but it's boring. So drama is what we, I guess, how we relate to it. So we're gonna hit a lot of skies and how I use the dramatic skies for my images, and then we're gonna start there, and then we're gonna end up with lightning. Oh, shit. I mean, shucks. Am I allowed to say that? There we go.
Yeah, we're adults.
And you'll recognize that guy right there. That's that founder. So that is the Nat Geo tree. And what I was standing on the road, this was during a workshop, and I don't shoot during workshops unless I'm photographing the people that are on it, but you notice the rain band that's over here. And when you're on the road looking at the Nat Geo tree in the afternoon, the sun is going down behind you, so it's illuminating the prairie, and you got the dramatic skies there. So when we're out there in the evenings, when we go on this field trip, I'm gonna look for places like that, depending on time of day that we're out there, where we're not necessarily under the dramatic skies, we're looking at them, but we're using the light to help elevate the drama. Nighttime can have dramatic skies, that's that same tree at night under the Milky Way. So you can have clear skies, throw the Milky Way in it, and there's drama. Come on, you can do this, Bob. So the other thing I want to talk about, and I only use these photos here just to hope we could see something. So just because you have clouds, for me, they're not necessarily drama. And unfortunately, I don't think in black and white. I did not have a lot of black and white stuff to share, so I didn't. But when you're photographing, your camera is seeing something different than we're envisioning. So that was my camera as shot as far as white balance goes. That's cloudy. I don't know, look at it real close and you'll see the change.
Yes.
All right, you notice that? That's cloudy. Oops, come on. There we go. That's shade. So we have daylight, shade, and you notice how the tonalities change. And I guess where I'm going with that, if you're going to shoot JPEG, you want to set up your white balance to try to shoot for the conditions you're in. Most of the time, auto white balance will do a perfect job for you. If you're going to stitch stuff together, like when you do the stitching thing, you may not want auto white balance because as you turn, your white balance may shift. So you want to control it, and that way in RAW you could set them all to the same thing. Or if you're shooting RAW and you're auto, when you go to batch them, you want to just make sure you set your white balance. So white balance is important to get the drama that we're hoping to get. And then, of course, fluorescent. And what some folks like to do at night is they like to get closer, damn it, to the tungsten. And where it just turns things blue. But you can see how white balance will affect the drama that you're trying to photograph. If you're gonna shoot JPEG, if not, do like I do. I set it at 7,200 Kelvin and just let it go because I know that I'm gonna change it. Or just pick something that's warm or pick something you're happy with. But I know a lot of people, when they look at the back of their camera, they really wanna see maybe what they're envisioning in their minds. So I'm not telling you what's right or wrong, and that's the other thing, because I just did the F3C conference. I don't tell you what's right and what's wrong. I share my ideas, my philosophies, and my approach, and then you can either take some of it, use what you can, disregard the rest, or call BS on it if you want to. And I'm okay with that too, because you guys know, you don't, because you're new, but these guys all know I love to talk, and I love to debate this stuff. Are you a photographer, sir? You are?
Kind of.
Okay, professional?
No.
Oh, good, I was gonna ask you to leave. So this here is what the raw converter looks like that I work with, and mine's Bridge. Most of you guys probably use Lightroom, but if you look here, this is as shot. Even though it says 6100 and it's got something on the tent and something on the vibrance, I'm pretty sure my camera's set to 7200. So that was just the way when it came up, this interpreted what I have. So imagine this, Charlene and I are on a pontoon boat with Bob and Patty, his previous wife, and that thing popped up out there. Now Bob can't take pictures because he's busy driving the damn boat, but I thought I would get that. But what I wanted to show you guys with this, even when you have really good drama and really good color, your white balance will affect what you have. So that's as shot. Come on, you can do it. There it is. That would be auto, and that's not auto in camera. That's auto when it opens up into your raw converter. And just watch and see if you could notice the things. But the other reason I put this up is so you can watch these numbers here. That's cloudy, without my glasses. Daylight. Notice how cloudy is typically warmer. Daylight, look, there's daylight. Then shade. And shade is very similar to cloudy and warmth. What does that say?
Flash.
Flash. I don't know what flash has to do with anything, but it was in there, so I put it in. But it did change the values over here. If you look, it actually went to a cooler temperature. And then your fluorescent and your tungsten. Not that you would use that on skies that have that much drama, but what I'm trying to share with you is the processing aspect of when you have to work on dramatic skies. If you're going to shoot JPEG, you want to do that in camera, of course, as much as you can, so you don't have to do a lot of heavy lifting in Photoshop or Lightroom. And then this, that's my shot. That's my drama, where I kind of really wanted to show the contrast that was out there, because that's what I was seeing, what I was feeling as Bob's running this pontoon boat away from this as fast as we could. I was actually hoping it would drop down into some bit of a funnel. So,
Raw.
yes. Did someone want to say something?
I think it was,
Shooting camera raw, then you don't need to worry about white balance.
No, and I think that's what I was trying to say, but a lot of people like to see the back of their camera and make sure that they're getting something close to what they want. But that's my, I think I mentioned it twice. If you're shooting JPEG, you pay attention to it. If you're shooting RAW, you can set it anything you want, because you can adjust it in Bridge or Lightroom. So yes, it's absolutely correct. And for me, because I'm a control freak, I don't want my camera bouncing around. Like I said, I set it at 7,200 Kelvin, which is very warm, and let it go. Because knowing that I'm going to work in Lightroom and I can change it. Or Adobe Bridge. I don't use Lightroom.
which camera was this shot with?
Which camera?
Yeah, it was Canon, which one?
Does it say there?
Yeah, it does.
The 16 megapixel, that's a 1D, I think. Oh yeah, there it is. That's up top of the 1DX. So that was what I shot with that one. And it's 16 megapixels, and that's the only thing I'll touch on it. even though that is part of the dramatic skies, people say, well, I need 24, 32, 50 megapixels so I can print large. I've got images shot with that camera that are 4 feet by 5 feet. So 16 megapixels on a full frame, if it's properly processed, will get you as large as you want to get. But if you get bigger, of course, and you have more croppability. So anyway, that's that shot. And I don't have this printed. I only brought that into this so I could show you the values of going through it in RAW and then the processing. When I processed it, I did it with layer mask so that I could darken some things, add contrast to other things. So that's part of the processing. And I guess what I was trying to illustrate with this is everything has to be processed. And sometimes we can envision something and it doesn't look like it when we take the shot, and this would be one of those. So depending on your camera settings, you may shoot it, look on the back, and it's not giving you what you're looking for. As long as your histogram is in, you could process it. And since we're talking about drama, does that add more drama? Just the contrast and processing? What about this one? Is that more drama yet? Too much drama, maybe? I think it depends on how it prints, how it's displayed, and how you have, what kind of lights you have on it. So the point I'm trying to make there is, even if you shoot it, if your histogram is good, you could process the drama in that you may have been feeling while you were on site. This is another one that we were on a field trip when we had done this. So a little bit of lightning in the sky there. The foreground was a little bit illuminated. I didn't like the foreground too much, and I wanted that to be richer. Most people would probably try to pull their vibrance slider or their saturation slider around. I don't do that. I use layer mask and I use, Delphin, what do I use? I'm having a problem with words. Layer mask and like when I put it on.
Saturation?
No.
No.
Your saturation stuff?
No, I use a curves layer mask, blend modes.
Blend modes.
That were big words, blend modes. And I do that. Do we have a preference over that? Or that?
That one doesn't look right.
Huh?
That was too purpley.
Too purpley? So, yeah, because those are gray there. So the other thing I would have done, and I just did this one real quick today to give an example of adding, trying to get instead of at an impact where somebody might say, holy crap, I really like that, or somebody might say it's too purpley, I would have used an eyedropper and set my white balance. A lot of times when I'm shooting this type of stuff, I don't care about white balance. I don't care if my grays are a little bit blue or my whites are a little bit off-white. So I'm not trying to, in my mind, show you guys what the computer says the color value should be. I'm trying to show you something or vision, make you see something I was feeling. Oh shit.
Wait,
Trying to figure out where it's going. I'm pushing the wrong button. There it is. So dramatic skies too, when you're out on a canoe and you're fishing in A1 FEV, can anybody look at that image real close and tell me if they see something in this panoramic?
besides the rainbow?
No, not the rainbow. It's a flaw in the image. Right over there. See that little up?
Oh, yeah.
So this is an iPhone, so I didn't have my camera with me, and I'm trying to pull across as a panoramic. And I wanted to show my canoe in it, and I wanted to catch the rainbow, and I intentionally put this thing over the side. So this is, everything in here is intentional except for maybe this, and I could have gotten rid of that if I was actually gonna print it. But somebody does own that, but they don't own this iteration of it. They own the one that's been fixed, and it's up in North Carolina.
If you didn't say that, nobody would have known. They would have thought it was a part of the shoreline.
Could be, but what I hope we all learn from each other, if we're photographers and we're gonna sell it, we're gonna print it, is we learn to pick the fly shit out of the pickle barrel. There's a little bit of fly shit in this pickle barrel. Okay, but that's what we do. Yes. Hi, you snuck in. How are you?
Yeah, hi, thank you. I don't see it. What's wrong with it?
If you look right over here, and maybe, and like Barb says, if you don't know it, you don't know it. I happen to know, if you look right there, see how that kind of goes up and then back down right here at the shoreline? It does look like the shoreline, but that was where I was panning across with my phone. My hand kind of went up and then back down again.
Okay.
So that was shot with an iPhone too. And the gentleman that saw
For
it,
those of us online who can't see your hand, can you give that a little bit more definition?
right off of the, at 11 o'clock off the bow of the canoe, out against the shoreline. Matter of fact, if you look close, I think at the rainbow there, you might pick it up in the reflection. So yeah, you can't see my hand. That's why you got to come out and show up.
Yeah.
Even if you live
It's a
in
long
Arkansas.
drive.
But yeah, so it's about 11 o'clock. And just look at the shoreline about 11 o'clock off the bow of the canoe and look out at the shore and look how it looks like it either dips in or it dips up a little bit. And again, like Barb pointed out, if I didn't point it out, nobody probably would have noticed it. But I promise you, it does show up when it's printed, because when I printed it for that friend of mine in North Carolina, I caught it and I corrected it. Then you go and put a marquee tool around it and use the warp tool and just pull that part down a little bit and make sure your horizon line is straight. So, but that happens when you start putting a lot of these panos together, or if you don't put it over the nodal point and you kind of get, when it puts together, it kind of keyholes it on each end. So I'm just going to run through a bunch of pictures here. You look at them for, for the drama. These are just a few rainbows, because when you're out there doing things, you get the rainbows when the sun is behind you and the moisture in the air is ahead of you. And some of these could have been processed a little bit better. I really like to have a deep, rich rainbow. And if you look in the upper right-hand corner of that, you'll see a hint of the second rainbow. And you could always tell when somebody has put in a second rainbow, unless they realize this, the colors are inverted. If the colors are not inverted, it was a placed rainbow and not actually in life.
I never knew that.
Yeah, the colors
Interesting.
are always inverted. So if you look, the magenta is on the
Yeah,
lower
I see
side of
that,
the
yeah.
upper one. So, people will take a rainbow, they'll enlarge it, put it over the other rainbow. So if you see two greens on the bottom, it's a fake.
How you know?
I only saw that on your photo that one time you submitted it for, I'm just kidding. Anyway, that's how you know. And I was out on the fishing grounds. This is on a trip when Bob and I used to go to Alaska, and it looked like the rainbow was on their boat. So we did have the boat captain radio that one, see if they had a pot of gold on it. But when he looked at it, he said it was another mile and a half away from him. So, but these are the things I look for out there when I should be fishing. I look for that drama, that thing that's a little bit different, and then zoom in on it. That was shot with my 28 to 300, probably at 300, and it probably has a little bit more of a crop.
That's amazing.
It's really cool, but you got to be out. That's one of the other points I want to make too, is you have to be out there when this drama is happening, and most of the time it don't happen midday unless you got a hell of a storm going on. It's morning and it's evening or nighttime.
That is an old picture.
So Barb's known me long enough to know that is an old picture.
No, not because of you, because of the trees.
Oh, she picked it up because of the trees. Yes, these trees here, it's missing 1, 2, probably 3 trees now.
Yeah.
If we go out there. So David and Bob, if we go out and shoot the sunset here, you'll notice that those trees aren't there. The other thing you'll notice as we get closer to summer, the sun will be over here. So it depends on the time of year you're there, that sun moves back and forth across there. One of my daughter's old boyfriends calls that good and evil. He sees this side is good and this side is evil. Somebody else saw it and he said it looks like the Cuban flag. So I think it depends, and that's what's cool about art and photography, is depending on where you're from and what you're looking at, you see different things. And that's the other thing I like, and I don't want to tell somebody what something is. You guys will hear it because we're trying to learn together, but I'd rather somebody look at it and tell me if they like it. Anybody want to hazard a guess at my f-stop on this?
About 16?
F8.
5, 6, or F8.
See, the reason these guys had 5, 6, or f8, they know like large apertures, that's actually stopped all the way down because that tree right there, that little bunch, was only about 5 feet from me. So one of the classes you could do since they're shorter is talk about hyperfocal distance and things like that. People don't understand lenses and know how to read a lens, know how to read a hyperfocal chart. And I realized this when I was doing a talk at the F3C conference. Everybody's really good about picking a lens up and shooting and guessing at an aperture. Hold on, this isn't for me. It's a spam risk. Who's expecting a call from spam risk?
Yeah.
That was you.
I get them all the time.
Yeah, that was you. I just turned 65, so I'm getting more Social Security bullshit than I ever thought I wanted to get. Anyhow, that was stopped all the way down on my 16 to 35 millimeter lens. And that's what I'd like you guys to challenge you to do. And most of the stuff you look at in mine, I'm using a big aperture. But when you're looking at somebody else's work, and not just, when you're in your home, you look at it and say, oh my God, that's beautiful, and you're done. But when you're analyzing what our work, or you guys are doing, you frame it, ask yourself what depth of field did that person use. If you like it, and if you don't like it, find out what depth of field you use. Because I have people that like a shallow depth of field and some that don't. But that was another dramatic sky, anyway, that it changed the color because of where the clouds were and where the sun happened to be. So the sun was not hitting over to these clouds here, and I love reflections. And that's one of the rules. People say we should never put the horizon line in the middle. You can put the horizon line in the middle because we accept psychologically balance and symmetry. So there's balance and symmetry, then there's one thing I like to do or talk about and teach is the anomaly. So the anomaly is this. You wouldn't expect it, and does that anomaly add interest? Or would some people rather not see it? Or does it matter?
Yes.
You would rather not see it? Or you think it adds
The
interest?
answer is yes. Some people would like it, others would want to get rid of it.
All right, so.
I think you can make both arguments.
And it's a personal argument, right?
Yeah.
Personal discussion.
I think if it was a prettier plant, looks like a
Oh, it is.
blob of mud with some sticks sticking out.
It's actually, if you go around there now, that rock is showing.
Yeah.
It's a chunk of
Oh, I
stuff with
can imagine.
it's a piece of coral rock with that thing on it.
No, it has to be there.
So, and see, so actually I heard three different things. I like it if it was a prettier plant. It has to be there, well, he's an elected official, he's gonna go like this, you know.
It has to be there, otherwise.
Depending on who his constituents
It's a
like.
big empty space.
Well, it does. To me, it adds, it was intentional. And when you look at all my stuff that I've at least printed and sold, everything in my art and my images is intentional. And there's nothing that's by accident, and that was intentional because I thought it needed to have an anomaly, something that was just odd and didn't belong, and it would take you back up to the bright spot. Anyway, this isn't a composition talk, but that was that dramatic sky, and I do love balance and symmetry.
If you go back for a second, if you take that photo and crop from the right side about a third in, it would be a dynamite picture.
Well, I appreciate the insult.
Who is that?
And I'm just teasing about the insult. So you're absolutely correct, but here's what you just did. You just took my art and turned it into your art. And there's nothing wrong with that because I have cut this image in half and I do see two different images in there, maybe even three. So you're absolutely correct. I was just being a smart ass when I commented on insulting me. Nothing you say about my art's gonna insult me. It was intentional, but you're absolutely correct. But when, that's the other thing, that's why I quit judging for people or critiquing stuff or I do a different way, because as soon as I tell you to crop it differently or to leave something out, I'm turning your art into my art. And I create my art and I know what I like and I know how I'm going to do it. But you're correct that it would be a different image and it would be very dynamic. And this thing is printed, I'm trying to think, this is 6 feet by 3.5 feet. It's hanging at my office if anybody wants to drive down to see it in person. And if you look real close, nobody's gonna see me pointing, but underneath that rock, you could actually see the shadow of the stones below it. Does that look like HDR to anybody?
No.
No?
Yeah.
I didn't, right?
I don't think so.
No?
Only because of, you look at the definition you've got in shadows, go over here, and especially next to the sun.
Yeah, I see it more in the trees. If it was HDR, you'd be able to see a huge amount of details in those shadows that you can't.
I mean, you could do HDR or put them together, it doesn't, but you can always bring it back so it looks more natural.
But to me, HDR is beginning to look plastic, AI.
Oh, but if you take 3 different images, or one bright, one dark, and then you merge them together, and you just make everything visible, well, yeah, that looks HDR-y, but you just pull that back, you
Right.
still have the bandwidth
Right,
to edit, but you just pull it back to where it's more natural.
right.
So
And
your
you can
technique is
What-
whatever it is.
One
The other
second.
thing I
Hold on.
wondered about is,
Hold on.
Hi.
in
Bob.
your reflection,
Yes?
that very close to your anomaly, you really picked up great color and great light there, even more so than you had in the sky. So I wondered if maybe you were playing with that.
So here's the short answer, that's HDR. but it's not HDR the way you guys think of it. It is an HDR put together with a program. And it is HDR that is intended to not look like HDR. So Hugh picked it up pretty quick. Delphin did because he's expecting a grungy or a more crispy HDR. But when you're pointing your thing at the sun and to be able to get that kind of sunburst, you're going to be stopped down. And I think that's only 3 images that I took, and I took them probably a stop and a half apart. But the point was, to your point, when you put it together, all I'm doing is filling in the spots that aren't right. But I didn't want it to look like HDR. And where I was going with all that too, if you ever look at somebody's art and their reflection is the same color as the sky, it's either been inverted and put in, reflections will always be darker. Always, but I pointed out the rocks, and Hugh picked that up, but that is HDR. All the same aperture, same location, just three different shots, about a stop and a half apart. But I could have very well made those trees green with one of it, but I didn't want that. And that's why I like talking about this one and these dramatic skies, is to let people know sometimes you have to do it, but you don't have to make it look like HDR. And I think I've shared with you guys how I fill in my sun, right? I take a mask, I take an eyedropper, pull a yellow that's close to it, and I drop it in the middle, and then I put a mask on it and I pull off just the middle, and then I take the opacity and bring it back so it doesn't look like it's got anything in it, but it's not pure white. So that's my process for the sun. And Delphin and Barb, you guys said F8, F16. Look at the starburst.
Yeah, it's have to be F16 or 22. I
got to be down to F22, F32. Starburst, when you're shooting your dramatic skies, you only get it when your aperture is 2 millimeters or less. And this is where people don't understand lenses, and I'm not saying you guys do, it's just what I saw at the F3C. If you take a 32 millimeter lens and you stop down at F22, you divide 32 by 22 and you get 1.018, you're less than 2 millimeters, and that less than 2 millimeters will give you a starburst. That's why if you go to F22 on a 300 millimeter lens, you can't get a starburst, because the 300 divided by 20 is what, 60? I don't know. Whatever the hell it is, it's a lot less than 2 millimeters. Shut up, Delphin. I love you.
Didn't say anything.
Anyhow, that's the point, and that was the other observation there, was is there a starburst in it? If there is, you know I stopped down. And if you know I stopped down to that 1DX, how much sensor dust did I have to clean off of that damn thing? Hugh's laughing because he's done it.
Oh, yeah.
He knows. All right, what aperture was I there? F22 to 32.
Well, it depends on what is your,
the lens.
The lens.
Yeah. And that's an actually good point, because most lenses only have 8 apertures. And so if you start with a larger one, but we know that I went real wide there, and I think that's at 16 millimeter, and that has stopped down whatever that lens does. Oh, and it's okay, I'll tell you, it's an f2.8 lens, and it stopped all the way down. So it's 2.8 to 4 to 5.6 to what's after 5.6? F8,
8, 11,
F11, F16, F22, F32. That's 32 millimeters. That's 8 stops. And that's why I use aperture priority. I want to tell the camera what I'm trying to do with my aperture, and I let the camera decide on the rest of the stuff, because your aperture is most limiting, but in my mind, it's also the most creative as you control your depth of field. And of course, you can see that sun is a yellow. I promise it was not yellow. I did my sun correction on that one. But that is up above the Arctic Circle on the edge of the Beaufort Sea in Kaktovik, Alaska. You can't see it, but there's actually polar bear tracks in that. But that was a plain sky that became dramatic as the sun went down. So we're looking just a gnarly gray, I'm going to snow here soon sky that doesn't seem to have anything. But as we stood there and as it got below the horizon, it lit everything up. So the drama could be there if you'll just sit and wait and then process the rest of it in. Another dramatic sky with polar bears. See, you gave me an opportunity with the dramatic skies to show people my polar bears. But again, I'm exposing mostly for the sky. I could have processed the sky a little bit darker, but I was trying to show the polar bears and the babies. Damn it, pushed the wrong button again.
I just wanted to say that the dramatic sky was actually your idea.
Was it?
Yes, because you had done so many lightning talks years ago that you wanted to said, call it dramatic skies and lightning,
It's a tumor.
in case we don't have lightning.
You have a built-in excuse for everything now?
Yeah, that was the joke the other
What was
day.
your
Charlotte.
excuse last year?
Oh, it's still the same
Well,
thing?
I'm a year and a half since the surgery, so we talked after the surgery. I'm gonna blame it on that.
Yeah.
And I'll remember shit now that I won't remember
No,
later.
I'm sure.
Anyhow, here's some more skies, and I love silhouettes. That's one of my things. You've seen a lot of my stuff. Have you ever seen the tag on the truck? So who has a tag on their vehicle? See, I like you guys more than anybody. And for you that don't know, one of my photographs, I don't think I have it in here, has been converted to I processed it, put it into a tag that the Florida National Parks Association has, and it supports Everglades National Parks. It's a specialty plate. So if you get it, you met the guy that actually produced it. And we have some elected.
It's out there now, isn't it, or recently?
Yes,
Yeah, it just came out recently.
yeah.
We spent 10 years trying to bring it to fruition. And when I say we, all I did was take the picture, our staff, and we have some attorneys and elected officials on our board, and they tried to get it through.
You did more than just take the picture.
Right now,
Stop being.
we've got we got 5,126 on the road. And so that means we're able to put $25 per tag into Everglades National Park, and they're gonna be redoing some of their, we've already given them some for water studies in Florida Bay, and then they are asking for money to change all their channel markers and repair them, and also the boater education course that that's out there. We're now supporting the boater education course with the money from your guys' tags, so I appreciate you. Another one, early morning, sun hadn't come up yet. Does anybody want to comment on that? Do you like it or don't like it? We can even start there.
I like it.
I like it. It's a little
Little what? You can say it.
noisy,
Okay, I was gonna say crispy.
crispy.
Yeah,
Little crispy,
maybe not,
creamy.
maybe not.
What's wrong with noise?
Or is you mean busy?
No.
No, she means noise.
Oh, you see
It's
noise?
very contrasty too, which I'm sure it was. but-
Well, the intent was contrast, so I added a lot of contrast to a large curves. The curves there and hit it with a lot of contrast.
But I think I like your term crunchy better.
I didn't print it, but you can see that it's in focus from the front, towards the back. And, but don't forget, I turned it into a JPEG, put it on, enlarged it, so I really kind of screwed it up by doing that.
And it's not the best way to look at them.
Right,
No.
but I have not printed it either, so there was a lot I liked about it, but it didn't become print worthy, but I brought it here for the drama of the sky and the reflection. And after the sun came up, the drama was gone, we went and had pancakes and went home.
I wonder if it's as noisy as you think. I think, that's why I say crunchy. If you look at the sky does not look as noisy as the water. I think it's all of those ripples in the water that's giving you that.
Well, that's what I mean.
That feeling
there's
of
lot
a
in
noise.
There's a lot in focus on it that I might have shot a little bit shallower if I'd have thought about it. There's the one.
There it is.
That's the picture, and it's not as orange on the screen, so there's a little bit calibration difference, even on Delphin's computer and the other one, the orange is there. But, so that's the other thing, and to Bob's point the other day, the skies are what the skies are, and that sky really was boring because there was no clouds in it, but if you can use the background, or you can use the drama of the skies to, you gotta tell me when I've run out of time, use the drama of the skies as your background for your image, or your backdrop for an image, there's a lot you can do.
Got a lot of time.
Okay. So this is another one that I'm set up. This is actually up at Beth Ruggiero's place in Cape Cod, and we were on an elevated platform, and everybody's running around shooting, and I saw that dinghy, and so I shot it with a long exposure because I noticed that the dinghy really wasn't moving even though the water was moving. So I gave it a shot. Somebody else would say, well, you should have shot it 1,000th of a second. Well, that wasn't my intent, and I'm going to suggest that if you go out and you shoot, and you're always going to shoot to freeze something, try shooting slower. You're going to succeed, you're going to fail, you'll learn from the failures, but that was probably shot with a 15 or 20 second exposure, and that's why all the water looks soft, because there was movement. This one is actually printed, and if you look at the print, you can see that it's a little soft around that mooring buoy, and you can probably see it's a little soft towards the back and the front of that, but I didn't care. I was looking at that. I had this in an art show. First off, before I tell that story, Do you like it? You don't like it?
I love it.
Why did I put the boat at the top? Boats float. Anybody that knows Brian Trainer, used to be a really good photographer down here, really unique photographer down here. When he saw my stuff, like my alligator's high, he goes, why'd you put him up that high? He goes, let me guess, alligators float. So, he didn't mean it as a compliment either, by the way. He's a great photographer and he sees the world differently. He's got a really unique vision. Anyway, I was at an art show, I think it was the second one I did in Sunset. And here what I'm doing to the dramatic skies, I'm using the reflection of the sunrise or the dramatic skies to get my shot. So that becomes my background. But I had all of my Everglades stuff in there, and there was a professional photographer walked in, somebody who does a lot of art shows. And a little guy had a little Peaky Blinder hat on. He walked in and looked at everything like that. And he goes, that's the only piece of art in here. I said, thank you very much. I said, would you like to buy it? He goes, no. He said, but that's art. He said, these are photos of animals and the Everglades. So that was a backhanded compliment maybe, but anyhow, nobody owns it. So nobody bought it. Usually if you see my name on it, on a lot of these, oh, actually no, Joe Gillette might have that. I may have sold one of those, but anyhow, art is perceived differently by different people. And I know what he was saying. The other stuff was cliche, maybe boring. Everybody's seen it, but this was something that he hadn't seen or was unique. Do you have to have clouds in the sky for there to be drama? What I liked about this was I have a bit of a, what's that gradient right there? Because the sun is going down the other side. It kind of illuminated the moon. And I watched this bright spot move across the water. We're at the red end in P-Town in Cape Cod, and I'm watching that spot move through, and as soon as it hit, and I've got my 7200 lens in my hand, as soon as it moved over, I looked up and I realized that mast is pointing at the moon, and I turned it over and I took a shot. Somebody does own that, because when he saw it, he had that exact same skip, or whatever you would call it, and it spoke to him. So I've sold one of those. But do we like that the mast is pointing at the moon? Is that a perceived leaning line?
Absolutely.
Yes.
You know, the drama is maybe that spot of light and the soft background, and having the moon partially there and a couple of gulls on the ground. So that was just one of those of it was there and I shot it. And so we don't always need real dramatic skies. I think we can create drama by the way we frame something up and shoot it. And some of you guys have seen my blended image. It has that lighthouse on it, and that lighthouse keeper's house. It was shot here too. That's Woods End Light up there. It's not in here because that's a composition talk. But anyway, you don't need all the clouds. You don't need all the color to create the drama if you can do it another way. Sorry guys. My grandson's at the house. Sahara Sands, there's no clouds, none of that kind of stuff. This is actually in the book. I tell you where I shot it and how I shot it. But when you go out there and you don't get the clouds and the drama that you get, but you see that your skies are looking yellow, and when the Sahara Sands are over, they look yellow. So how did I make it dark in the shot? Underexposed, stop down a stop or two to try to get it and make the sun come back in. And because the sun is large on the tree, I was shooting this across the road. I was at Sissel Pond shooting across the road. I knew I had the Sahara Sands. I had no reflection really and no clouds. So I decided to put a 300 millimeter lens on it and position myself so the sun was underneath those branches. So drama, it can be created. You can do it. Nighttime drama. There's a little bit of drama in that. That's the moon up top. And we had a real cloudy sky. And I decided I'm going to play with my silhouettes. And I think people go out and they don't see it because they don't look for it. When you're out somewhere, nature's going to give you stuff to shoot if you're just open to receiving it. And a lot of people go out and it's not what they wanted to shoot. It's not what they were expecting, even better. And they won't slow down long enough to say, I wonder if there's something else here that we can do. And this was shot on a workshop, and I was trying to tell everybody that we were out there to shoot stars in the Milky Way that night, and we didn't have it. So I told everybody, there's still something to shoot, let's try this. And of course now I'm focusing on the tree and the pine cones. I didn't care if everything in the back moved, a little bit longer shutter speed, let the let the clouds paint it a little bit and put the moon right at the top. Like it, we don't like it?
I like it.
I like it.
Yeah. And the bigger question is, would you have seen it to shoot it? And I think a lot of people, you gotta train your eye. And one of the things I do for whatever drama I'm looking at is I look for the light. I look for the color, I look for the contrast. And what I did was, I looked up at the moon and it was covered and I saw the clouds moving across it. And I happened to say, you know what, I wonder if I do this, if it'll come out. You guys remember that? Some of you guys remember that?
Oh, yeah.
Remember we went out there? So now we've transitioned into lightning. And so I always start off my lightning talks with, that shit'll kill you, right, Barb? All right,
Lightning, that shit will kill you.
that shit will kill you. So that's the camera club. Cheryl, I don't think.
Cheryl?
Yeah, that's Cheryl.
That's Cheryl.
Those were two people that thought about joining. I think that's Sue.
Sue?
Were you at that?
Bob?
Is that Bob?
Patricia?
That's Patricia. So what we had done is we were gonna go chasing storms, and we all kind of met there to see which way the storms were gonna go. And I saw everybody looking, and I figured I'm just gonna take this shot because I teach safety. I don't have any of the videos in here. I used to have a video of a truck getting hit by lightning, traveling 60 miles an hour. There was one interview, I don't know if you guys saw it, but I had a young lady that was hit, and she's in a wheelchair from lightning strike. I don't want anybody to think that it's safe to go photograph lightning. So in my full-blown lightning talk, where I lead off with all this, I ask you, how many of those people are in danger?
Oh,
Every damn one of them, except me.
you're in the truck.
Yeah.
That's probably where I was.
Yeah.
No, that's where I was. I
What I
went in his car.
When I go on these things, if I hear lightning and I see those kind of clouds, I tell everybody, let's go sit in the truck. Nobody listens to me, except maybe Barb and Delphin. So when we're chasing storms, what we're looking for is wet side and dry side of the storm. And the bigger presentation, we talk about that, but I can show you that here. Everybody can see the dry side and everybody can see the wet side. You never want to shoot a storm advancing on you. You can, but most of the time your lightning is going to be rain wrapped and you're going to get your camera wet and it's going to come on you so fast that you don't have time to chase and react. So what we like to do in Everglades National Park, because of the way that road meanders, we could photograph a storm on one side, go back through, and we could photograph rainbows on the other. And so this is down near Perotis Pond, and Stephen and I happened to see that cell moving across. So I just got out and set the camera up, and then that happened to strike right down the middle. And I call these angry strikes. You don't see the step leaders in this. And it's just an angry strike, but it would allow me to show everybody the difference between the wet side with the rain and the dry side. So if you're on the wet side, your trigger, we use lightning triggers, your sensor may go off, but it's going off because the infrared is going through it and you're not seeing it you're not seeing it because of the rain. And that's the other thing I did not put in here. I usually show you an example of a whole bunch of lightning sensors, and I carry a few of them. But when you go out, you can do that different ways. The best way to do it, so you could set it up, sit in your vehicle, is use a lightning sensor. Lightning Bug makes it, Myops, Bob might have a Myops, he's got a Myops for something else. Myops makes them.
Yeah.
I like the one by Stepping Stone Products, which is the one that started it. And then there's another one, a Strike or something. And they will all work. The one that has the self-regulating sensor is the lightning trigger by Stepping Stone Products. Everybody else's, you have to kind of modulate it yourself. Anyway, wet side, dry side, we were out there to shoot drama. We didn't get too much of it because it was just kind of bland, and that was on us before we knew it.
Now, last year I went down to Everglades City. I just set the camera up, jumped in the car, let it do a time lapse.
Yeah, okay.
And I caught one,
I
got
don't-
lucky.
I don't have that in here, but that was how I shot a storm in Wyoming when I didn't have it. I set it up, I think there were 15.
That one over the,
Oh, yeah, over the mesa or
yeah,
whatever
yeah,
it
I
was.
remember seeing that.
I don't think that's in here, I pulled it out, but that's the other way to do it, is if you have a storm and you can see which way it's coming, you guys can kind of see the way that one's coming, you just set your camera up, go wide, and just let it shoot. Or like Ozzy used to say, let it eat. And you can always crop into it, but you can sit in your vehicle and be safe. That you can see water over to the right-hand side down low on the horizon. That is Sweet Bay Pond. Bob and I fished that. And we were on our way down. I don't think Bob was with me on our way down that way, and I saw that storm coming across, so I went ahead and set the camera up to photograph that. And I wanted it to lead over that way and have that lightning move across. I got a little bit of that, but it actually turned and headed straight to me. And it might have been heading to me, and I didn't see it, but you can see the wet side. I can do this. No, you can't. You can see the wet side, and you see the dry side, and you can see which way it's traveling. And it always travels from wet to dry, of course. Oops, where am I going? There, nope, that was, you saw that one already.
Yeah.
You saw that, where am I going? Backwards.
Hope you're going backwards. There we go.
There it is. So that was another shot from the storm, and this is what we like to get. These are called stepped leaders, these little light things here. So when a cloud gets ready to discharge, it sends out a shit ton of these stepped leaders, and that's an imperial shit ton, not metric. And it just starts to send these step leaders out. One of them will get to within 100 feet of the ground, and the ground's building up a charge, and it'll fire a stroke back. That's called the return stroke. There was always talk, well, lightning comes from the ground up. Well, it's working its way down until it makes a connection. So like when you touch a doorknob, there could be a static charge there waiting for something. As soon as your hand gets close, it jumps across that gap and gives you that static charge. Or you might be carrying the charge because we shuffle our feet, however that works. So that's what we look for, is these artistic strikes instead of that angry strike. But you're going to get what you're going to get. You're going to get what God gives you. And I say it's what you're worthy of. If you don't put in the time, you don't pay the dues, you may not be worthy to get that strike or that shot in nature. It's a philosophy. And you can see how the rain's moving, and that the lightning is still there, but the lightning's staying right on the edge of the rain, but it's starting to get rain wrapped. Shucks. There it is. So that there, is that the one I wanted? Come on.
Patience.
There it is. If I don't have any patience, I'm not a doctor. So what I do then, usually, if I can, is if I don't like the entire layout and I want to just print something small or want to share it on social media, I'll crop in tight on it so people can see the step leaders coming out. And as soon as this thing hits ground, all those step leaders stop charging. That's why they're really faint, and then you have that return stroke that brightens everything up, and it shuts all the other electrical current down. This is one just for you guys. I tried that effect I like, that's oil paint. It's not real dramatic, but because I cropped in so tight, it was a little bit crunchy around the edges, and I wanted it to be a little bit softer. It didn't do what I was hoping it would do, but I can share it with you guys.
Do you
Yeah.
lighten all those step leaders and stuff when you're processing it?
I have, not on these images. The one that Barb saw, I put on a metallic canvas, and I wanted to make sure it showed up, so I went in, I enlarged it, and with I put a layer mask on for screen to lighten it, and then I got my stylus, and I brightened the ones that I wanted to brighten so that it was on metallic canvas, it would pop. I don't normally, but I have. I think it's going to be image to image, situation will dictate what you'll do, and I will tell you guys that, and whoever's watching on this, but when somebody comes over to the house or at the office or at an art show, I'm not going to explain to them how I did the image. They're either going to like it or they're not going to like it. And they don't need to know. If they need to know how I did it, they're not interested in my art, they're interested in my technique. And if they're interested in my technique, they need to join your camera club.
Absolutely.
And this is, you guys might recognize this. This is the upper side of Turner River Road. We were out there chasing the storm, and you can see where the rain is on the one side, and we had the nice drama. I probably could have processed this a little bit different to really make that drama rich like I did on some of the others. So we have the step leaders. You can see them all coming down. It's just trying to come down through there. And the road leading over, I would prefer for that to be right down the road, but I was in the wrong position. Imagine if I had walked over the other side of the road, but I jumped out of the truck, threw the camera right in front of the truck, and that's the shot I got. So we do try, if we're chasing a storm, to plan where it's going to go, but you never know what you're going to get. But the point I'm trying to make is I'm still thinking about it. I'm trying not to let anything be chance. I'm trying to get in the right place for the right shot if the right shot will be given to me.
Well, if you'd been on the other side of the road, the lightning would have hit on that side.
Probably. Yeah, that's just nature screwing with you, right?
Yeah. Not your lucky day.
No, this ain't my day. Oh, there it is. I did process it to show you guys. Yeah. Do we like, God bless America, do we like that one or that one better?
That one.
Because there's more drama in it, right? A little more drama. And I think what I like about doing some of this stuff is I don't want to give somebody what they're expecting. I want to show them something weren't expecting, and let my creativity go into it. And they'll either like it or they won't. They'll either buy it or they won't. And how many of you have ever seen me enter any of my photos in a contest? None. I've never entered it. My contest is when somebody sees it and buys it or don't buy it. Because I'm intentional with everything I do. Nothing I do in my images is an accident. And if my lens isn't enough, if my lens was too big on this drama, I would crop it down to get the crop that I want. So I'm only showing you what I intended. And if I can't get what I intended, I don't show you the image. You might see it because we talk about this stuff, but the public won't see it. Paheoki Overlook, Stephen and I was out there, we had a squall line come through. That probably wasn't supposed to be the first image, but see the step leaders coming in? And that lightning strike, so my camera was metering correctly for that squall line when it was farther away. And the closer it got, of course, it blew out up there at the top because it's moving closer to me and I'm not adjusting it real quick. I don't know if it's a good thing or a bad thing, it just is what it is. Who's been to Paheoki, probably besides Hugh, in the last 2 months? You like that new platform they got out there?
Yeah.
Isn't that awesome? Bob and I was out there too, and Bob said that I could actually walk on it without vibrating his tripod. Really? That was a place we would go set up for sunrise, and everybody's tripod was there, and that other boardwalk shook, and it's wider too, I think.
Is it?
Yeah, I think it's wider also. So anyway, it's a beautiful place. They've cleared a lot. Now's the time to shoot it because next year it might grow back up again. Anyway, Paheoki, we're under that metal structure right out in the open. You're not gonna see it. Stephen and I was out there, and as it started to get closer, we just folded our tripods, and I'm running back to the truck, and I've got some shots with my tripod folded up of lightning striking close. Here we go. This is same thing, same place. Matter of fact, that was that same series of stuff. But if you look, so we got a step leader coming down right towards the middle. And we had all these step leaders. Well, it found ground right there before. And if I had to guess, that's somewhere at Shark Valley. The Shark Valley is only 7 miles across there, and it's straight across from that point. 7.5 miles. But that was part of that cell. So you saw everything that was over here first, and you noticed it moved across, and noticed that that's all rain. So it's less dramatic. But anybody notice that is a crop also? I crop everything to suit what I'm trying to say. I do have 2:3 ratio things. Most of my stuff is cropped to show you only what I want to show you. And that is pulling that out. If you look, I think that's the one, and that's the tree right there. Come on, there it is. And then I just zoomed in on it. I left that little strike out there, and I pulled in and cropped it, and that was shot with my 16 megapixel camera too. That was shot, if you look, that's Paheoki. That was shot at the same spot, and that's one image. That's that storm was so active, that's 1 2-second image.
Amazing.
It's crazy, and that's what you kind of hope for. So when people ask me, well, what setting should I use? I'm challenging you to understand your camera and understand what you're trying to get, because if I tell you my settings, I'm telling you how I would create my art. Now, it is good information. That's why you know that was 2 seconds. So if you're standing there and you can get 3, you may pick up multiple shots. If you can't get 3, and most people try to set their ISO too high, that one I actually dropped my ISO deck down to 50. So the native on our Canons is 100. I went to 50 to give myself more time, so the lightning sensor, when it went off, and I'm stopped down, and so I'm using all of that to try to get everything I can, but not overexpose. And that's the trick out there, is you don't want to overexpose. You'd rather underexpose. I think it adds to the drama, and then you could open it up again. But that was the most active storm I've ever been in, and I think it was shortly after this when Stephen and I hauled ass off of there. This is the lake we like to shoot sunrises on. Anybody recognize the island out there?
Mm-hmm.
Long
Pine Key. So we were chasing the storm, and I noticed it was coming that way, so I dipped down Long Pine Key. I ran out, set my tripod up, kind of composed it. That alligator was over there. He'd come over to investigate, and as the lightning went there, it hit. But he's a little soft because I think I had a 1.5 second thing, because if I can get multiple strikes in one image, I like to do it. Holy grail of lightning in a double rainbow. I did not put the rainbow in. You can see that the reds and the reds are facing each other. And then Barb was saying something one day about Milky Way and lightning.
I said it?
Somebody said, does anybody got a Milky Way and lightning?
I got a Milky Way moon, but not,
No, but, and I said, I've got one. But you can't get this if you're not out there.
right.
And we did not go out to chase a storm that night, and if you look real close, you can tell this is Flamingo, that's that little utility house that they've got there. Stephen, Hugh, and some of you folks know Stephen, he was set up on this tree or this tree really wide. He loves to go real wide, down low, put it in the foreground and set it up to get the shot. Well, when he did, he got a better shot than I did because he got all the step leaders. The problem was it was only that big in his frame. So mine's a little bit bigger because I think that was my 70 to 200 and it was somewhere in the middle. And of course, as I'm setting it up, I knew about these trees. I wanted to put these trees there and I thought I would clone that out. I decided not to. Just as I pushed the button, the lightning went off. So I didn't have very much. There was actually luck on my part. And I did make sure I did want the Milky Way in. So I had left the bathrooms we were at and I went to set it up and compose it, and sometimes you just get luck. And that's why the step leaders don't quite look as long. And the most dangerous lightning in a storm is positive strike lightning. This is positive strike, it came out of the top. You ever heard somebody say, well, they were hit by blue sky lightning? How far do you think that traveled to get outside of the range? Most time lightning's coming right down underneath. People don't get hit because they're already in it and they know that it's coming. What happens here is it's positive charge, it travels farther, comes off the top, travels out, and hits somebody over here when they think that they've got all this time. So that's the other thing about lightning is if you're within, I don't remember what National Weather says, it might be 14 miles of lightning, you need to be undercover because you just don't know. Shit. Night photography, those that have been out with me, and somebody was with me, this was a workshop, might have been Sue, and that other lady that come out a couple times with me, we set up and we were doing time lapse. So like Barb had said, sometimes you just set your camera up and lock it in. If it's digital for crying out loud, you can delete all the extras or the crap. And I just set the time lapse and let it go, and we picked that up. And usually if you could see a lot of step leaders, it was a longer exposure. And then of course you could see where the sky was. I even picked up some stars. And you're not metering. You're not letting the camera, you're not metering for how dark it is, you're metering for how bright it could become. And you kind of think of it as maybe a double exposure, you're exposing for ambient light without overexposing it, and then God gives you that stroke that lights it up and opens it up. And that's on the side of the road in Everglades. And this is one that, same place, we were just out there, we moved after that because we started to get rained on, we found another spot to set up, I think that's Key Largo, lighting down there. And if you were under this, you would swear that it came out of this cloud. And it didn't. You could see that it actually came off the top of my frame. So you don't know where lightning's going to come from. It's going to come wherever it builds up that friction and give you that static discharge. But again, if you were here, you would just swear it was right there. Yes?
You mentioned about the metering. How do you actually meter for that? It's, you take an estimate, or you meter for
I always take a shot first because we have our LEDs or our screen. So I'll take a shot and make sure I got the exposure that I like. And then I just let it go because then I have some dark exposure with some moving clouds. And then when the lightning strikes, it opens things up.
So you meter basically for the
whole
ambience.
scene, the whole scene.
Right, and then you underexpose a little bit? Or?
Well, see, okay, that's beautiful. If you're using auto metering, underexpose is a term of exposure less than the programmers put in it. I don't see it as underexposing, I see it as proper exposure. But to your point, if I let the camera meter it and I shot it and it's too bright, I'm underexposed, I'm taking light away from that metering. But yes, so because I'm in manual mode, I would just push it and I would look at it. And if it was too bright, I knew that the lightning would blow it out. So I would drop it back so that I'm just getting some detail and everything. And I know when the lightning strikes, it's going to open things up. And that is a practice thing at night. It's more getting out and doing it. And that's why it's a hard thing for me to say, because the exposure on, the exposure on this, but that one, and that one were all different. None of them were the same exposure. And matter of fact, you can tell there's still some stuff that's kind of blown out there. But I know when I metered for this, the clouds were dark, and I was picking up stars. So I knew I was gonna be okay, I was at least gonna get the stars, and when the lightning hit, but getting out there and doing it and taking good notes and making mistakes is what's gonna improve your skill. That was a zero answer for you, I know that, but the point is.
No, but it gives you an idea of, you know.
But when you do it at night, you can let it open a lot longer, you might catch more strikes.
Yes, especially
it's
when,
dark, so
yes,
you can
especially
leave it-
when you're going down to 50 on the ISO, and you could leave it open longer, and might show movement in the clouds, which you don't give a crap about, but if it shows movement in the clouds with no lightning, as soon as you get some lightning's gonna freeze it like a flash would freeze it.
I was down Flamingo once and just let it go 10-second shots and set it and forget it and let it go. I got a lot of cool lightning strikes.
So that's only part of the
Clouds.
story. 10 seconds, what was your ISO and aperture?
Oh Jesus, this was 10 years ago.
You see, because if you were,
Probably I didn't mess with ISO much back then,
so probably native,
probably 100.
and I would suspect you're around F8, F16.
I was probably F16.
Yeah, F16. And that's the other thing that I did a talk on lenses, and we're shooting dramatic skies, of course, we're using lenses, so I kind of sidebar some of this stuff. And there's guys that'll say you should be shooting at F8, F8 is the sweet spot of the lens. In my mind, F8 is the least creative spot. And yes, if you're in a lab and you're gonna shoot and you're gonna measure the optics, you might find it F8. And that's not even a true statement, because my 400 2.8 might prefer F16, where my 200 2.8 might love F8. So it depends on the focal length of your lens and the design of the lens. So don't pay any attention to that shit. There's too many people out there trying to sell their talks by telling you the best of the best. I'm telling you, I shoot f1.2, f1.4, f2.8 because I like shallow depth of field. And if you look at the charts, that's the worst place to be in a lens. And they say if you go to f22, f32, that's the worst place to be on the lens too, because when you look at the corners are fuzzy. I'm going to submit to you, you're either going to crop or you're going to vignette. And if you vignette, who the hell cares how fuzzy your corners are? So don't get caught up. I challenge you to stay with the creative and disregard the technical. You need to understand the technical of how it works, but you need to be creative to be exceptional above everybody else. Another night, to Bob's point, it was pretty dramatic, even though there was no damn clouds. And as we're shooting this meteor shower, a storm blew up over Flamingo. This is up at Sissel Pond. A storm blew up over from Flamingo, and I happened to catch a meteor coming into it. And that was on a workshop too, but you don't get it unless you're up at 2 o'clock in the morning. And what we did on that, I had 2 people on it. It was a night workshop, and they brought their laptops. So we set our cameras up, let them rip, and we sat in the truck and I taught them how to process, or taught them my way of processing. And that's the other thing, if I share something with you for processing, that's not the only way. And that's one of the reasons I may stop doing talks, is because I've learned that technology and the way of doing things have surpassed me. I'm still using layer masks. That's why I said, well, you know, you could do all this in Lightroom. I said, well, why would I do it in Lightroom when I know how to do it? I do it here and it works for me. So I don't teach the newest and latest and greatest, and there's improvements in Photoshop that I'm unaware of. As a matter of fact, most of you guys probably know more about, well, I know everybody knows more about Lightroom than I do, but even in Photoshop for processing, I'm still doing the same shit I was doing 10 years ago.
But it worked.
Well, it gets the job done. And our customers, when they look at our pictures on the wall, they're like, oh shit, Robert must be using the latest and greatest Photoshop, and he must have used curves masks, and he must have used a blend mode. Another one that was set up, we call these heartbreakers, so that's another one that was set up on Sissel Pond where we shot the meteor. You can see the stars up in the upper right side. You can see a bit of a lightning strike over here. And I think this was one of those are pretty still. This is probably a 2 or 3 second shot. And then we got that there. And then of course it was long enough that when the alligator swam by, he looks like a log out there. But that's part of the fun of it, is getting the shot, going home and having your heart broken because you missed it. Now you want to go out and get it again. But I had everybody set up out there to shoot across the pond, hoping we would get that storm crossing. And we did get it crossing, but the lightning was only on either side of it. So those heartbreakers. But if you do that, you can crop in like that. So that was the one on the left-hand side. Now, I wouldn't be able to make that very big, but it would look pretty cool if it was 11 by 14 or smaller in a frame. Come on, you can do it. Oh, you know what? Something didn't play. There it is. Let's see if this will play. How do I play? Is this,
It should play automatically. Oh,
I hit the play button. There it is. There we go. Oh, yay.
so that was the one that was for that shot. So I showed you how we set up and we go back in the truck and get out of trouble. I'd love to play it again. One more time.
I got it.
Thank you.
I think I got it. Let's see
It's
the
supposed to play
cursor.
automatically, and clearly I did something wrong. But see the alligator move back and forth across it? And then there's that shot, that's good, thank you. That ended up being that. And then, because we had set it and we had done it, it's that. One thing about night photography and lightning photography, you want to set up in the path, you don't want to chase it. You want to let it come to you. Meteor showers, we've been set up with people and they'll see a meteor over there, so they move their camera, point it that way, then a meteor happens over here, they'll turn their camera that way, and you don't chase meteors. You'll never catch a meteor. Odds are you'll never catch lightning either. I have taken a picture handheld. Some of you guys have seen it. Somebody was on one of my workshops and she had her lightning trigger on. It was a beautiful strike out across the prairie. And as soon as she got the strike, she knew she nailed it, so she turned her camera off so she could chimp. And as soon as she did, I'm standing behind her like this, because I knew as soon as she started to look lightning, God's going to send a bolt. And I did, and I got it. Boop. So she's looking at her camera while lightning's still going off out there. So don't do that shit. Look at it when you get home. Because you could miss the one that you're going to put on the wall or sell to somebody, or just create a book. Yes, sir?
Yeah, usually you're talking about using fairly long shutter speeds for lightning. What's the fastest that you've shot?
1/60th of a second. What's the fastest I've shot?
100th of a second.
Did I?
Because I was out with you on the levee.
It was daytime?
Yeah.
And we caught, yes, Bob and I was on area F3B levee shooting down the levee of lightning. So the point, depending on you can shoot pretty fast, but you have to read the manufacturer specs. This is where Bob's going, of your lightning sensor. And then don't disregard them, all right? Read them, understand what he wants. Those are a jumping off point. Everything you're given is a starting point, because you guys asked me, well, what were your settings? I'll give you a starting point. If it's daytime, go F16 at 1 over your ISO. Does anybody know what that is? That's the Sunny 16 rule. That's not the way I shoot, because I don't want to be F16. I want to be F2.8, F1.2. I want shallow depth of field, or I want motion. So there's always a starting point. So the challenge is to understand how your camera works, understand your style and what you're trying to get, and then use your settings. And hell, sensors and processing has gotten so good, you could be a stop or 2 or 3 under and pull everything back. You can't blow it out and salvage it, unless you shoot multiple of your HDR in it. But you can be darker than you think and open things up. But yeah, to Bob's point, I said 160 because the manufacturer recommends that. You can shoot faster, you just don't know until you try. And I like to use this analogy. If my son was getting out of high school and he's playing a guitar, he's gonna be pretty good at the guitar, but he's not gonna be Jimmy Page. And I did that for you older people. Or he's not gonna be Slash, or he's not gonna be the country guy that's really good with it. Anyway, my point is, those guys are artists. They can do things with a guitar that most people that just practice daily can't. So you want to take your camera and turn that into your artistic instrument. Northern Lights, Bob was with me on this trip. Actually, he probably co-led it with me. Dramatic skies, it was just stars until the Northern Lights come out, till the aurora comes out. And if you've ever shot up north and there's no light pollution, it's almost bad because it looks like noise. You know, you get down here and you get just your brightest stars coming through. You get up there, when we got above the Arctic Circle and we tried to shoot that, there was nothing but a shit ton of white dots everywhere. Damn it, got ahead of me. And then what they like to do when they're shooting the Northern Lights, everybody's always looking at the horizon, and I yelled at the group a couple of times, look up, because now you're shooting into the corona. And those are like the holy grails of Northern Lights, is when you have them right above and you can shoot into the corona, and you get the angel wings. And the other thing, most time people you'll see, because they want to make sure they get it, they want to shoot 10, 12, 30 seconds. And if you do that, you get soft Northern Lights. Northern Lights are constantly growing. I think this was 4 seconds. and you can see it starting to fuzz, but when I get down to 2 seconds, it's a curtain, and it grows, and it builds. And if you see it that's just all blended, somebody was afraid they were gonna miss the shot, and they weren't gonna shoot at 2 seconds, or couldn't figure out how to set their camera at 1 to 2 seconds, or didn't have the lens fast enough, so they're shooting it at 20 or 30 seconds, and the northern light is just smooth. So you see the ridges in that. That was probably a 4 or 5 second shot. But that's that curtain I was talking about.
Is that a
Yes.
video?
Yeah. This is in Wiseman, up above the Arctic Circle. I knew, well, we went there to photograph northern lights, and the greens are the most prominent. And this, I get to tell a story on Bob and Sue.
Sorry.
Bob and Sue and Cheryl and a couple other people were on a Northern Lights workshop with me up in Fairbanks. And I told only my friends, after the workshop's over, because I don't shoot when they're shooting, after the workshop's over, I'm going up to Coldfoot and I'm gonna go photograph Northern Lights above the Arctic Circle. Do you guys wanna come? Patricia came too. And so they all said, yeah, we'll come. So they all paid their way, it didn't go through me. I shared my bookings with them and they went. Well, in Coldfoot, it snowed while we were up there and it was damn cold. Bob and Patricia went on a dog sled ride. That's not the story. It was funny because they had one of the guys who runs the Iditarod would run his dog sleds and Bob and Patricia went on a ride. But anyhow, that night we went up to Wiseman to photograph the Northern Lights. And it's a tourist spot. And so when we went inside, the guy's got hot cocoa, he's got narratives to tell, he's got interp to share and shit like that. So Bob, Patricia, and Sue were in there. He starts to talk. I said, I'll see you later. I grabbed my shit, 3 cameras, went outside, set everything up, started my time lapse. They were too kind. I told the guy, I'm up here to shoot, I'm out of here. They didn't want to hurt the guy's feelings, so I shot for an hour out there before they came out. Finally, one of them said, this is bullshit, I gotta go shoot the Northern Lights. Anyway, what else we want to talk about? I got an opinion, I'm not afraid to share it.
Well, I want to talk about the Northern Lights, the way Patricia describes it being there at Weissman. She says, when we're out there, and everybody's out, especially, it sounds like an orgy. Everybody's going, ooh, ah, here it comes, ooh.
That is true. That is true.
It's an experience.
Yeah. And some people, they like, well, some of them you don't see unless you got a camera. The greens and the yellows you do see. The reds you can kind of see. The magentas, I can't see. And I really can't see the reds, but I see a shadow. See a shadow in the sky. And I know that the Northern Lights are out and they're the magenta color. And I just set the camera up and I take a shot to see where they're at and then I compose from there. So you don't always see the magentas and the reds without a camera. And some people say, well, then it wasn't really there. Well, my camera says it was and it's still pretty. You're just being a little bit bitter because you don't have the gear and the knowledge to shoot it, I guess. But the other thing I'd like to point out, when we do night photography, you never want to wear a red light. And everybody says, well, no, that's good for my night vision. Doesn't hurt my night vision. Well, no, it does. It doesn't hurt your night vision, but your cameras pick it up. So when I do my night talk, I've got cypress trees that are 30 feet away from where we're shooting and somebody's got a red light on. On one of our Northern Lights workshops, we had a guy put a red light on and it's reflecting across the snow and it's killing everybody's shot. I'm not shooting, so I didn't notice it. So one of my clients mentioned it to me, so I went and told him, turn the red light off, and he insisted he had to see. I said, you can't, because you could see, just don't use red. And he kind of got pissed off. Well, then he decided, it was a tiny little red light, but it doesn't take much for your cameras to see it, especially when it's reflecting light. Well, he didn't turn it off, dropped it in his jacket, and his jacket's open. So he's got this red semicircle around him that's reflecting out this way, getting in everybody's shot. So, then I gotta try to tell a customer that I really like that you're being a shithead, stop doing it. What you want is a flashlight. You see how bright that is. Let's see if I can do it. There. You can't even tell that light's on, but it is. And when you're working on your gear, your equipment, you could see it and you're not hurting anybody else. And you'll be surprised how accepting the cameras are to white light. And for those of you watching on the out, it's a half a lumen. You never want to use a red light when you're shooting with somebody. If you're shooting by yourself, knock yourself out. I'm kind of referring to when we shoot with a group and when you're with a bunch of friends. Does the military use green and blue also, Hugh? Blue? And blue, the cameras pick blue up too, so, you know, and that was another thing, I was on a workshop there, the very first time I went out, and somebody made a smart-ass comment to me, said, I knew where you were all the whole time, Robert, your damn light was killing me. I said, no, you didn't know where I was, because I was not where you thought I was on the other side, so I've got a photograph of you and your damn red light, and somebody else had a green light, and I had a photograph of the green light on the snow. So, white light at night when you're shooting in a group. ¿Qué más? Oh, I want to bring up something Bob mentioned too. When you're shooting dramatic skies, you want to shoot, it doesn't hurt to have a polarizing filter in. It really separates the clouds. It adds a depth. We were talking about that today when I was working on this. Adds a depth to it. But when you're shooting panoramas, you don't want to use a polarizing filter, because polarizing filters polarize when the face of the lens is 90 degrees to the sun and the polarizing indices is pointed at the sun. So if you've got a really wide angle lens, you may get darkness here and bright here because you're getting 180 degrees. Or if you're going to shoot a pano, you might be shooting this direction. It's polarized perfectly, here not, here brighter, and then it's harder to blend. So, and polarizing filter is the only filter that the editing programs cannot emulate. So we use it a lot, and it's really good for dramatic skies because it adds saturation and depth, but you have to be careful and understand how it works and not mess up your photos when you're doing your panoramic talk.
Robert, what about ND filters? Do you ever shoot dramatic skies with an ND?
I have some really damn good ND filters that I haven't used, but yeah, I like them because you like the long.
Well, I'm gonna ask you that too, because you say you like f2.8 and f1, one whatever. And if you're shooting during the day, you're gonna have to use something to put on it, right?
Or a stop down, and I'm not, and no, not necessarily, well, I do, but then also during the day, I may go to f8, f16 if I need to.
Yeah.
But yeah, ND filters, if you want to get your clouds moving or smooth out your waves and stuff like that. And I've got a more slow, what's it, a 10 stop. I've got adapters that go on each of my lenses, and I've probably used it once after I bought it. You know, you spend $800 on a pack of shit, and you don't use it. Do you use them, Hugh?
Every once in a while.
Yeah.
I tell you, you get those magnetic ones, they're much easier to slap on and off.
Do they fall
You
off?
use them a lot more, no.
No, they're good?
And it's
I
so much
swear by
easier
it.
with a.
Oh my God.
mirrorless than it is with.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Those screw-ons, how many times did you drop and they fall in the lake?
Yep.
That's why I don't use them. That's why I don't use them.
Well, these
You know,
just
you used to have
pop right
you
on.
used to have to focus and everything, and try to get it back on without messing your focus up. Now, with the mirrorless, you can just shoot, I mean, you can see enough that you can compose with the 10 stop on there.
Oh, okay. And I have a polarizing neutral density filter, and all that is two polarizers together, so if you turn it too far, you get an X.
What about if you use the variable? You can focus on the, no? You don't like it?
You get the X's.
That's the variable. The variable
If you're
is
not careful, you get an X.
if you go too far.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Rephrase that. When I was trying to use the variable, I kept getting X's in there.
Because normally.
You're trying to make it as dark as you can, and it goes a little bit too far, and you get that X.
Yeah, normally what I do, I focus on a low number, and then I kind of, once it's in focus on everything and the kind of composition, then I increase the, the number, just to get,
The exposure.
so I can slow down
The exposure.
the exposure,
Yeah.
right?
Video guys use them all the time. They
Yeah.
apparently figured out how not to have the issues that I see all
They
over.
might mark them or something.
Maybe they buy good, or lengthy filters.
Well, and I think your point too, I use a polarizing filter today a lot of time. Matter of fact, my camera that Bob and I had the past 2 days still has a polarizer on it. So that takes away 2 stops of light. So I have a question. So we talked about people not understanding lenses and what they do and the hyperfocal distance and things like that. My one lens, or a few of my lenses, they have measurements on it to tell how far away it is. Dave, you mentioned something coming over about a camera with a rangefinder. Does that mean, is that how it focuses based on distance? What's a rangefinder on those large medium format cameras? Didn't you say you had
I had a rangefinder camera, the medium focus Mamiya. It's just a style of camera.
but no, but the rangefinder camera, how does, what's the?
No, it's a rangefinder camera with a small, port.
I don't know what it is, I guess is what I'm saying.
I'm trying to think of, rangefinder focuses, basically you're focusing through the port.
And when you go through it and it's focused, it can tell you how far away the subject is?
Yes, it does, no, you can mathematically figure it out based on the lens you're using, but that's not the purpose of it at all.
Okay,
I have a rangefinder.
No, not a rangefinder. Well, I guess where I was going, one of my newest lenses has a depth of field chart on it. So if I know something's 30 feet away, I can set it, like I said, 30 feet. Or actually what I would probably do is set 30 feet, I'd probably set it at 20 feet, knowing that I'll be in focus depending on my aperture, and it'll give you the size, the range, the depth of field. I'll be in focus from 20 feet to 40 feet, and 30 feet is the further away or however between it. So there's things on lenses that you could do where you don't necessarily have to look through it to get it sharp, and it'll tell you if you're at f/22, you're gonna be in focus from 4 feet to 20 feet. Or if you're at f/14, you're gonna be in focus from 2 feet to 3 feet, so you focus a third of the way into the scene of what you want to be in
Now, that's
focus.
depending on where you focused at.
It depends on your depth of field, so yes, but where your subject is. So if your subject is 10 feet away, and you want 5 feet in front and 10 feet behind it, you can set it to that, and you can set your aperture, so everything from 5 feet out to 15 feet out is gonna be in focus.
Right.
Yeah.
And that thing slides based on where your point of, your best point of focus is. In other words, if you're focusing 15 feet away, based on your aperture, you're gonna be so much behind and so much in front.
And that's the other point. Even though that talks about depth of field, there's only one tack sharp plane, because it's not 3D. But it gives that perceived thing. And what a lot of people try to do too, is they try to use sharpening to pull back focus, and that you really can't. You're putting, and the way sharpening works is you're putting a black line next to a white line to give us the perception of sharpening. And that's why you get a white glow around things that are over sharpened. So anyway, thank you guys very much. I appreciate it.
Thank
I
you.
enjoyed this more than I thought I would.
Yeah?
Thank you.
Yeah. So it's good seeing you.
All right,
Sorry, I missed-
thank you,
I missed the
everybody.
conference.
And it's good seeing you too, Marta. It's good seeing you. And of course, Valerie, you're like my favorite.
And Mike said, thank you for the presentation, I learned a lot.
Just for camping?
How many of our members are on Zoom?